Good Friday afternoon or evening. In Victor's case, welcome to the weekend.
To the weekend. Welcome to, the last day before, the last night actually, before KubeCon.
Okay, good enough. You may notice, if you've been with us before, that Victor's set looks a little more different than normal. Did you get one of those cool video sets?
No, I'm just on the terrace.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
what can you do?
What can you
do?
You
might hear occasional birds or people passing by and stuff like that.
Okay. Daniel, PlatformCon. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Vladislav, good to see you back here. Kieran, DevOps Freak, hello, and Miroslav. One name I don't see here with us live at the moment, and of course I can't see names of who's actually here with us live, and then we'll get into our normal stuff. Engin this week was marked, that's what I'm going to call him, marked as a Puluminary.
Mark sounds like he's up for execution.
Yeah, okay, maybe not so much. But congratulations, this came out last week, and I was late. I think this actually, when was this? The 3rd. So I just missed it last week. So that's my bad. So congratulations to Engin on being called out. Called out's even worse, isn't it? Congratulated by Pulumi. That's what it is. So just another part of the family here. Marcin, good to see you. Sebastian, KubeCon Eve Friday. Yes, and in case people don't know who we are, I guess we should explain who we are, since we did have a couple of first-timers today. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor. There it is. And we're the co-hosts of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on most Fridays, we'll get to that later today, most Fridays, we do a live show, and we talk about the things of the week and anything else that's happening. And of course, next week is KubeCon EU, or KubeCon Valencia. What's the best way to say that? I say Valencia because it sounds easier to say.
The city, Valencia.
Valencia. But what I'm saying is KubeCon EU sounds weird versus KubeCon Valencia.
Valencia sounds better.
It sounds better. Martin, good to see you there as well. Let's just get into it because we have a lot of information today. So
let's started putting in a week before, right?
But what's interesting is most of it's not KubeCon related. Some of it is, but not all of it. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about the podcast this week. We had Mike on from, please, don't forget, NetFoundry. NetFoundry. By the way, if you have your drink, drink your drink. We're going to be going fast today. Let's just put it that way. We had Mike on from NetFoundry talking about OpenZiti. And if you haven't looked into OpenZiti, my words, not his, it is a phenomenal replacement for VPN. And if you're sick and tired of your VPN, especially if you're the one having to manage VPNs, you may want to look at OpenZiti or just take a look at NetFoundry and their commercial offering.
Let's put it this way. If you are not sick and tired of VPN, that means that you're not using it.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
What's interesting is Mike is in the same town that I live, or not the exact same town, but we're in the same region. And there is a Linux conference coming up in a few weeks locally here. Again, I'm not traveling, but to go to a conference that's about 25 minutes from my house, I'm willing to do that. Right? That I will do for right now. And I emailed him this week. It's like, hey, dude, you need to go ahead and submit a talk over to this. And I'm trying to get a couple in too, but we'll see. But yeah, this is pretty good. I don't know about VPNs, but my corporate proxy, but corporate proxies.
Same.
It's the same nightmare thing. If you haven't listened to this episode, you really need to listen to it. It does take more work to get set up front. And even Mike gets into that a little bit, not directly saying it. But he talks about one case towards the beginning of the episode of where they were trying to lock down access to their data warehouse. And they were planning on the day when they were going to kill the normal way of doing things. And when that day came, nothing happened. Like, it was a non-event. I tell you, you need to listen to this episode. This is probably one of my favorite episodes that we've done. It was just really interesting. And I'm considering doing a live stream with Mike and have him walk us through a setup. You don't have to be here for that, unless you want to be, but just to make it
Always
easier.
wanna be.
I know, but anyway. Speaking of wannabe and where you want to be, congratulations to Komodor for landing a Series B of $42 million. They're buying Chipotle if you see them this weekend.
Yeah, no, I already have it in my mental notes that once I get to the KubeCon, they're paying my drinks.
Okay. So that was one of the raises I saw this week. A second one that I saw, and I've done some videos about these guys, is StackHawk. They got a Series B and $20 million. So we were talking about this before we got started. The numbers seem a lot lower right now, but the numbers are lower everywhere. Whether you're talking fiat currency or crypto or anything else, everything's really depressed. So to even get these kinds of raises right now, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Oh, yeah. And those are not low raises. Actually, I just think that for a while we have actually higher investments than is normal. So it's more like getting back to normal.
Numbers that feel a little more sane, if you will. Now, here's not a raise, not directly. AWS announced today that they're going to be investing $10 million in the OpenSSF, which is the supply chain consortium.
Nice.
$10 million over 3 years, so $3 million a year. Now, what does that really mean? Is that just credits to AWS in the amount of $10 million, or is it $10 million in hard cash? I don't know.
I'm guessing a combination.
Probably a combination. And bottom line, having credits at AWS, especially for this foundation, is probably a good idea. Credits can't hurt in this case. So those are the three numbers that I saw today that I thought were pretty interesting. There was one other conference this week. Actually, there were two other conferences this week. One conference, though, was Google I/O. And I watched some of it, and they were talking about their watches, and they were talking about their tablets, and it was like a rehash of watching an Apple event from 5 years ago. But I saw this one thing, Cloud Run jobs. Now, you can use Cloud Run to run something until it finishes. So schedule a recurring job, okay, or run it as part of a workflow. What does that smell like?
Smells pipelines.
Smells pipelines. So anyway, again, just announced this week. It appears to be GA. It does not appear to be early, but it's there now, and I think that was the last big missing piece of Cloud Run. There's probably other things that will come out,
No.
but I think this.
There is one big piece missing.
What is it?
And Miroslav, I think he's here, will probably concur. Attaching volumes.
Volumes. That's right. But then, why would I use Google Cloud Run instead of GKE? At some
For
point,
the same reason why you would use it without attaching volumes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to get into the argument today. It doesn't matter. But that's that was the most. It wasn't the most interesting thing. There were a few other things I thought were more interesting, but not really for here today. CNCF, you're going to KubeCon.
Mm-hmm.
They launched a new website.
Okay, nice.
They launched a new website.
Nice. I haven't seen the new one, but the old one is horrible. I get lost immediately.
Well, this is part of it. So here, let's just go into it since we're here. There it is. Hey, we're walking into an event. Oh joy. Lots of movement. Oh joy. Big pictures, smiling people. I am scrolling and I'm only halfway there.
I still don't see the options to go somewhere.
Yeah. There's Anais. Wait, she's gone. Wait, what? Okay, here. Now, mind you, this is zoomed in. Let's just...
Okay.
Let's
Okay,
go.
that makes sense.
There we go. Okay, so we got all the
So
things here.
the only thing I really care about is show me the CNCF landscape. Is anybody going to be able to use it this time?
Let's see. Let's just go on projects and let's see what that means. Oh, I can't even go there. How do we get to
got to
landscape?
No, you need to go now to graduated or incubating or something.
Okay, so there's graduated. View on landscape. Here we go.
Okay, same.
Same. Wait,
Yeah.
let's click on the big one there. Okay, so it's still the same.
Yeah. Me no like it.
So that's actually landscape.cncf.io. So that's what it is. I mean, this is pretty, right?
That's cool. I like that. I can read it. I can read that. The other one, where you were a minute ago, I cannot
Yeah.
read it. I cannot kind of understand what's going on there. This is okay. Nice, big, cool.
Yeah. You're far away from your mic. Either pull your mic to you or...
Okay, yes. Yeah, this is
I mean, I can
nice.
still hear you, but okay. Anyway, so new. So in case you can't find things again, I think most of the URLs they didn't break, so that's a good thing. Okay, the other conference this week we were talking about Google I/O. DockerCon was this week. Nothing big surprising about this one. Docker Desktop for Linux. We knew it was coming. No big deal.
Yep.
One thing that was interesting was they acquired Nestybox. Do you remember a Nestybox?
I don't. What was it? I mean, it sounds familiar. I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was enabling containers to run any type of workload seamlessly and securely.
Okay.
Whatever that was.
Whatever.
Sysbox. So Sysbox was what? You remember Sysbox?
My brain just froze.
Okay, that's fine. You're getting ready for KubeCon. Your brain's going to freeze. Anyway, Docker acquired Nestybox. That's the short of that. So these were the two big. Oh wait, there's one more.
That's the one.
I looked at this and scratched my head.
So they're horrible. They're really, really horrible, and there is nothing special about them. There is no good reason for anybody to use them, to be honest. But it's amazing because this is a signal, at least from my perspective, that Docker finally is getting out of the Docker Compose type of game, which is failing slowly, even though they have a lot of momentum from the past. It's very significant is because Docker Desktop is being positioned now as a hub for all your development needs. Docker itself, like Container Engine or Docker Compose being only a part of that, right? So to me, this is extremely significant. If you go and look at the extensions, you will see that some of them have nothing to do with Docker or Docker Compose, right?
Right.
When I say Docker in this context, I mean not the company. I mean, how we run containers without being in a cluster. So like OpenShift is there, right? It's a horrible extension. So most of them are really not good, but it's a good signal that Docker is going towards being a hub of sorts, kind of like fulfilling all your development needs, which could be Docker Compose, could be Kubernetes, could be something completely different, right? In a way, realization and acknowledgement that Docker is not the center of the universe anymore. It was. So I don't like the extension, but I think that they're a signal of something good coming.
And there's only a handful here. I mean, I've literally scrolled through the whole list. Now,
Yeah.
we were already aware of the Sneak one before. So Sneak has been there for however long. The big one to me, which I have a page for, but we'll skip it in a minute, is JFrog. Now has X-ray, right? So scanning much like you have with Trivy from Aqua, right? It's what can I do with an image?
To me, the important one there, even though it's not going to be used much, is OpenShift. For what I said before, this has nothing to do with Docker Compose, right?
Right.
Docker is not even running in OpenShift clusters,
Right.
right? and it's a good sign. And Docker has an advantage that nobody else has yet, is that Docker Desktop as a tool to manage your Docker Compose stuff, that's going down. But Docker Desktop is on everybody's laptop. So they do have an opportunity that almost nobody has to kind of become a center of something again. And in this case, something would be developer experience, productivity. So if this continues, it will be potentially great.
Okay. So, Docker extensions, and there's a tutorial on how to write your own extension. I read it. I didn't actually do it yet. But even just reading it, I was going, huh? But it's okay. Let's see. Let's move on. I mentioned JFrog, so this was their announcement around their plugin there. Or excuse me, their extension. Wrong word. I don't even know what's next. We went through this a lot faster than I expected. Let's see what we're doing here. Oh, right. Portainer. Portainer new release now gives you the ability to provision Kubernetes environments on cloud providers directly from within Portainer. You mean like Rancher?
Like Rancher, like Tanzu, like everybody. It's
Yay?
a good thing. I mean,
Yay?
that is... I mean, you know, if you're using Portainer, it makes perfect sense that you not only do something inside of the clusters, but use it as a way to create those clusters in the first place. So it makes perfect sense. It's not new, it's not revolutionary, and I still need to play with it. I need to see how it's done, right? If, and I haven't tried it yet, if that is going in a direction of, let's say, maybe Cluster API, which is becoming a standard of sorts to do those things, then it's good because everybody else is still in a phase of figuring out what to do with Cluster API. If it's not, then it's just trailing behind.
Okay. I was going to ask questions about Cluster API, but I'm not going to. I think I would get sad based
Why
on some
sad?
ideas. Not so much sad. Wait. Is your desk... Do you actually have a raise and lower desk?
No,
on
I
your-
have a raise and lower the
Oh, the umbrella thing.
yeah.
Okay. I was like, what are you doing?
I mean, who has a raise and lower up and down desk or a terrace?
I imagine there's some people after these past 2 years probably do. Okay, let's move on from here. The other thing that happened this week was SQLite. So Ben Johnson, who is the developer behind Lightstream, which is a replication mechanism for SQLite, or SQLite, however you want to say it. I call it SQLite, has now moved on and is at fly.io, and he's going to be working full-time on it, meaning he's not having to bootstrap it himself. So
Nice. That's really cool.
this is good because now this means that Fly, even though they have the Postgres option, now they're getting into potentially SQLite because a lot of places don't need a full database.
Exactly.
They just need a local data set. They need more than cache, but they don't need a full MySQL, Maria, Oracle, whatever.
So more than Redis, less than Oracle DB.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, so Ben has gone full-time at Fly. This wasn't the only announcement this week about SQLite, which I still need to try to get the primary author on. He lives in the town that I live in, of all the weirdness in the world. And I also found out, looking at one of his older videos, the guy that came up with either CouchDB or something else also lives here.
I love it. He came up with this thing or something else.
Well, it was something along the. I remember it was a CDB. I can't remember if it was CouchDB or but it was something in that area. So, whatever it was. So we had like what I consider two of the largest database people that have impacted the world in the past 20 years live within 20 minutes of me, 30 minutes of me. So the second SQLite is Cloudflare. Now, Cloudflare had a lot of announcements this week. I mean, a lot of announcements. I pulled out a few here. We're not going to dig into many of them. All the links are going to be down in the show notes later, probably this evening, my time. And if you haven't had a chance to go through and look at what Cloudflare announced this week, this is one of their, hey, world, you don't need AWS or Azure or GCP. You can come to us. That's what the announcements were this week. So they announced D1. This is okay. So all right, anybody from Cloudflare watching, listen. I get it. You like 2-character product names. It's not helpful. Okay, enough with that.
Okay, I mean, unless they come up with one product being R2 and the other one being D2.
Well, they do have an R2, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Okay, then I want the new version of this to be D2.
This should have been D2.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is First SQL Database. Guess what it's based on?
No? SQLite?
It's SQLite.
Yeah.
So now you've got somebody at Fly.io, which is a highly distributed application, which I'm shooting a video about next week. Victor's already done one about it. Fully distributed. So this is where Lightstream is going to come into play. You've got Cloudflare, who plays in the, I will say, probably bigger than Fly does from a distributed perspective. When do we see AWS and GCP and Azure offer a managed SQLite service? Replication service. That's really the key part there.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, really, that's more for, the usefulness of those things is more for vendors than users.
Yeah, it is.
Because, honestly, as a user, I care about cost rather than whether it's this database or that database. As long as that database, if I already have an application, is using the same protocol as my app.
So this was one of the announcements this week. Another announcement, I don't know if I have them lined up correctly here or not. Workers. Yeah, I do. So they open sourced their serverless engine. Workers is their serverless engine.
Okay.
It's Apache'd. It's like it's not AGPL. It's Apache 2.0. This could change how serverless works. Because with this being Apache 2.0, I wonder if AWS would take this and do bad things. No, they would never do that, would they? Look, hey, in my opinion, if you decide to license something a specific way, expect the large companies to take it and do with it as they wish.
No, but
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's the game, kind of.
Yes. We won't talk about the other side of the house on that.
No, but you as a company, you need to weigh the pros and cons, kind of. Now, actually, let me backtrack for a second. Having something in open source, that's a business decision, right? Now, most open source projects are made as a business decision because there is a hope that will benefit the company, right? And then you need to take those benefits, upsides together with downsides. Cannot have both. Many of the companies who were burned for being open source probably wouldn't be where they are without open source.
So they've open sourced Workers. And now, so it's been open sourced. So you've got D1, nice. You've got Workers being open sourced. They announced a pub sub solution.
It's just that most of the time, I have a slight beef with that.
Okay.
Most of the time, projects that did not start as open source but were open source later tend to be not good. Not in terms of code and quality of the code, but how useful it is for the general population, how documented it is, and so on and so forth, right? if you look at what Netflix open sourced amazing things, Spotify open sourced amazing things, and they're absolutely horrible for somebody who wants to use them. Not
Because-
for what they do.
Right. Yeah, in fact, a lot of the older Netflix open source projects I used. Hystrix was a circuit breaker.
Yeah.
I can't remember a few, like during that lifetime, sometime between 2012 and 2015, 16, as a Java developer, those Netflix libraries were great. They were lifesavers. But now, they're all archived.
Yeah, but I was more referring, I mean, what you said is absolutely true. I was more referring that the dynamic how you approach a project being open source from day one and being for internal usage is very different. And the outcomes are different. So when you open source something that was not meant to be open source, the result is different from, let's say, user perspective, usability perspective, not code quality.
Right. So Cloudflare also announced a pub sub. So I've got pub sub, I've got a SQLite database, I've got workers being open sourced. They also have an analytics engine. Now the link I did not put in here is they had announced a while back that they were going to have a blob store with no egress fees. That was R2. That is R2. That is now in public beta. So you pay for storage and you pay for access. So every $1 million, every million requests for gets, for a get is $4.50 US, if I remember the pricing right. So think about that, and you pay per gig too. So whatever the pricing is on that. But you don't pay any egress fees. Zero. So I pay for a request, and I pay for storage, but I don't pay for bandwidth. That sounds like a wonderful thing to me.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got all the charts of comparing against S3 and other things from a pricing perspective. We host our site on Netlify just because it's free. We don't get enough traffic on it. But I'm almost getting to the point now to where I want to move over to Cloudflare Pages. Works the exact same way as what we would have on Netlify. But then I get access to all these other things too. Where I can play with them a little bit more. So, because Netlify has a few things, but nothing to the level of what Cloudflare has. So, if you're into this lightweight stuff and being everywhere, Cloudflare is pretty interesting, and you probably should take a look at it. Leave it there. Weaveworks. You need to go see them this week.
I will.
Be nice when you see them.
I am nice to them. I like Weaveworks. I mean, I like Weaveworks people. Now, I have I agree with some product decisions. I don't agree with others, but
I want you to find out the skinny on this, or find out the real story on this. So, Liquid Metal was announced this week. Liquid Metal is a set of solutions to declaratively, say that 5 times fast, provision Kubernetes clusters dynamically on lightweight virtual machines, micro VMs, and bare metal. So think Firecracker, I would guess, what's the T one? Talos? No.
Talos.
Yes, Talos.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that enough yet. Create lightweight clusters to maximize the available edge compute. I think edge is being overlooked greatly. And that's the other thing I want you to be listening for next week, is how much edge is really talked about.
I'm pretty sure it will be one of the main subjects.
So micro VMs are our friends. More cluster nodes on the available bare metal hosts. You mean like my 2009 MacBook Mini or Mac Mini? Or my Raspberry Pi that I can't show you right now because it's being used? Support clusters where direct access to hardware acceleration is needed, meaning 5G. This is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Flux is interesting as well. This is more interesting.
Really? Why?
The reasons I was heavy into IoT a few years ago, and I sort of let it drop because much like let me compare it to Lambda, AWS Lambda. If I wanted to do serverless before anybody else, Lambda was the only option, right? At least managed option. But I had to write all my code in a very specific way. That's where IoT was. But now, with stuff like this, now I could write my code however I want, knowing that I'm only targeting lightweight things.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what the hardware is, as long as the hardware can run, call it liquid metal, then I just write my code. And no matter what the hardware vendor is, my code runs.
True.
Right? That was sort of what I was leaning towards earlier about the Cloudflare workers being open sourced. I never finished my thought on that. So now if it's open sourced and AWS picks it up and GCP picks it up and Azure picks it up and they put their own wrapper around it, well, now I could run what would be a Cloudflare worker in the big three plus Cloudflare. Man, that...
So what is the chance of that happening, especially with AWS?
For AWS, I think it's the highest of the three.
The highest chance?
The highest chance of it happening would be on AWS.
I thought that Cloudflare is really bugging AWS more than anybody else.
It is. But if they were to take it and open source it, or take the open source just like they did with Elasticsearch, now OpenSearch. If they were to do the same thing, I know Cloudflare's gone into it eyes open. Why not? I mean, I think their play right now is this is for standardization. I think that's why they open sourced it. Not for other reasons. That's my gut feel. I have no information. But anyway, so there's a handful of projects. There's an image builder. They have all the other little tools here.
There's another... You said we were going to... when I mentioned at the very beginning cluster API, there's another one. It's everywhere. Even though you might not see it.
Correct. So anyway, this will be one to watch for, I think, in the coming months. I think this is going to get more... How do I say this? I think this is going to get more coverage and usage than Flux ever will. And I'm not saying that Flux is not getting used. Flux is getting used.
Oh, yeah.
But this, because this is... We talk about shifting left all the time. This is shifting down. Right? It's getting right on the metal. And if I can just have... Here's this piece of hardware, here's this piece of hardware, drop this on it, and now I can do whatever I want to with it. I think it's good. It's very nice listening to the birds in your background. It's very relaxing.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very relaxing. That's my... In the mornings, I usually wake the birds up. I'm going around in the trees and shaking them on my walks in the morning. Say, hey, time to get up. Replobyte. We've got a handful of tools this week. A blazing fast tool. Well, I would hope it would be. To seed your databases with production data while keeping sensitive data safe. So you can use it with any tool. And then you can create a dump of something, whatever that is. And then you can restore it and whatnot. So anyway.
Okay, so I'm guessing you dump the real database and then when you restore it, it obfuscates data, right? Or something like that.
So here's a sort of state diagram, I guess. Postgres, use Replobyte, you dump the data, and then go through here. You can subset, transform, compress, encrypt, whatever, right? Loop that till you're happy. Then upload the dump data, S3, whatever, write the index file out. And now you've got something to play with from there. And then here's how you load it. Read it from S3 through Replobyte, decrypt if necessary, uncompress, whatever, and then restore the dump. Seems pretty reasonable to me, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I am the neighborhood rooster. That is my job.
No, he's Darren is not the neighborhood rooster. Darren is the one who is waking up neighborhood roosters so they can do the job.
I actually do, almost, because they usually start first, and then the other birds start waking up after them. I thought Replibite was pretty good. Now the databases: Postgres, MySQL, Mongo, and then if you want to add a new database, well, it's extensible and you can add your own. Yes, I am or just Rooster Prime, or I am. What was Picard's name when he was a Borg? Locutus of Borg. Yeah, no, I'm not that. I'm watching the second season of Picard right now.
Really, is it good? I tried kind of first couple of episodes and didn't stick.
So I watched the first season, and I watched it in real time. Now, second season, I waited for all of them to publish so I could try to not necessarily binge it, but maybe watch 2 at a time. And I've watched the first 2, or 3. I think I've watched 3 now, and it's fine. I really like Q. I know some people hate Q. I love Q. It's like the Mr. Mxyzptlk of the Star Trek universe. So I'm okay with that. You know who Mr. Mxyzptlk is, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He was Superman's...
I'm just kind of like, yeah.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, though, is really good. I do like Strange New Worlds.
Okay. I haven't...
Yeah, that's what Sebastian says. Strange New World is... It's a prequel to the Kirk series, so the original Star Trek.
Is it something that just appeared, or what? Oh, okay. 2022. Now.
Yeah. There's only been one...
It? Tell me where. Netflix Prime...
In the US, it's on Paramount Plus. I don't know where it's at in Spain.
Okay, so it's
I don't know if it's there yet or not. Yeah. Anyway, no, we're not talking about Star Trek the rest of the day. So anyway, Replibite I thought was pretty interesting, and especially if you're needing to move data around, seemed to be pretty straightforward to do. Git Mirror Me. I'm trying to figure out why this even needs to exist. It's a CLI, gives you the ability to mirror a repository to any other Git repository.
I'm confused. Is that kind of like for people who have to use GitLab but want to use GitHub and vice versa?
I'm guessing.
Because I had that I had something that seems to fit that description a long time ago when we were transitioning to Git from Subversion.
Right.
And then kind of because huge code bases, people, blah, blah, blah. And then there were mirrors. I don't know whether that's the similar concept. I
think, well, just taking a look at, there's just really just a couple of flags. There's a source repository and a destination repository. So maybe it's for that case of, okay, I need to mirror from GitLab to GitHub. Or like, I think this is true. That's the reason why I'm pausing. Apache Foundation used to be Subversion. I think they just went to Git. And they used to mirror from Subversion to GitHub. But Source of Truth was Subversion. I think they've moved to Git now, but I think they're still self-hosting. I don't think GitHub is Source of Truth. I can't remember on Apache because that's been a longer term. There is a Git push mirror, I think. So I'm not sure what this does beyond that. If there's more to it and more,
because Git push is kind of like one-shot action, right?
It is,
and this hopefully maybe is actually working in the background like some kind of a cron job.
Yeah, I was trying to find. They don't have an example of that to where, but that's what I would want to do. Is I would just set up a cron and let this run every fill in the blank. Time. So that might be it. This is fairly new, by the way. It's the oldest file is 9 days. So, fairly new. Commands. So this commands.dev is a site put out by the guys at Warp. Do you remember Warp? They're the $25 million terminal. They raised $25 million to write a terminal in Rust.
Really?
Yeah. It was that same week we talked about these guys made $25 million to write a terminal, and somebody else raised $23 million to build a full DevOps platform. Which one is a better solution? Which one is better
has
fundraising?
More competition?
Which one? Yeah. Well, the DevOps
Nobody's
platform,
building better terminals, or very few.
Right. So anyway, they announced this week. It's a searchable, templated catalog of popular terminal commands curated from across the internet. So if I wanted to look at this, I could, okay, how do I create a new Git remote branch? And it tells you, oh, I want to do this, so I'm going to call it this, and the origin is that, and then it just gives you the copy paste.
So this is a replacement for Google.
For commands, yes.
Yeah.
So, and they also have light and dark. Thank you very much.
No need for light.
No. No. Finally, I did get through everything really fast today. This was not my plan, but that's okay. MarkDoc. The people at Stripe open sourced MarkDoc this week. So it's a Markdown authoring framework. This is how, have you ever looked at the documentation at Stripe? Stripe is the card processor, credit card processor.
Yeah, but I haven't seen the docs now.
Okay. This is their system that they use for writing their documentation.
Okay.
Look at this. Nice. I'm hovering. Do you see the try it out floating around?
Okay. What happens when you click it?
Here, what is MarkDoc?
Okay. I see.
Where I am. So there's a developer sandbox.
Where am I?
Where I am. Where am I? Where I am. Okay, anyway. So, full open source. Sadly, it's NPM, but
Fair enough.
Whatever. PowerStripe documentation, everything else. So if you're you're still trying to figure out a solution of how to manage, if you haven't gone ASCII doc and you haven't come up with a good way of managing your docs, there's other systems out there to do as well. If you're evaluating, this is a no one yet to evaluate.
So it's okay. I don't know why my brain thought about Markdown. This is ASCII doc, right?
No, this is Markdown.
Markdown. Okay.
This is Markdown.
Can you go back to the previous screen?
Yes.
Go down.
Here.
I thought I saw some. Okay, so what the heck? This is not Markdown, right?
Yeah.
That percentage callout type check.
This is the extensions they've added into Markdown.
Okay.
This is the extension, so that is the checkbox.
Okay. That's slightly different, but a similar outcome like limpub.
Correct. It's not like the limpub Markdown flavor, but comparable.
Yep.
Comparable. Yep. So anyway, lots of stuff about that. Okay.
Nice.
I thought we could talk longer, but no, we ended up here.
Hey, we don't have a strict limit.
No, we don't. Robusta. How do you say it? I'm going to call it Robusta because it sounds cool.
I gave up. A long time ago, I was kind of like Googling for some strange tools, how they're pronounced. I gave up. I just invent how. First thing that comes to my mind is how I pronounce it. And I'm saying Robusta. Now, whether that's the correct one or no, I have no idea.
You can use your hands to say it. Robusta.
It's kind of like a magician. Kind of like, I would do that, but I still did not figure out how pigeon would get out. Kind of like, or a set of flowers. Something is to get out of your hands if you're going to do this movement and say Robusta.
Okay, what is it?
Maybe confetti at least.
What is it about?
It's about notifications mostly. I mean, officially it's about troubleshooting and this and that, but I really like the notification part. Basically, you can train Robusta to notify you when certain things happen in Kubernetes. There was a long time ago, I forgot the name, maybe KubeNotif or Kube Notification, something like that. I think it was a project started by VMware that didn't go anywhere. And since then, this is the first time I actually found a relatively user-friendly notification system for Kubernetes. Which kind of sounds surprising, doesn't it? That there are no tools that notify you when something happens in Kubernetes. Or not many. Right? You have tools specific to other tools. Like you can get notified Argo CD can notify you about its own stuff. And other tools can notify you about their events. But there is nothing really Kubernetes generic that says, hey, I'm going to tell you when I want to find or be notified about something. Oh, I like it.
So that's...
There are a few things I don't, so you need to watch the video for that. But
Yeah,
general
watch the video.
feeling is really, really positive.
Now, do you have a video coming out on Monday?
I do.
Okay. Do you have a
Why?
video coming out the next Monday?
Kind of as if planned or as if done.
Planned, sure. Why not?
I have, so now I think that I have, I'm 3 videos ahead.
Okay.
When I say 3 videos ahead, I mean, I did my part and then it goes through editing, animation.
All the
So
things.
I have nothing right now beyond the next Monday, but I do have raw material. Because the guys that were doing editing were freaking out, kind of like I finish on Thursday and I tell them, kind of, well, I need by Sunday.
Yeah, listen. That's why I don't edit your things. Daniel, is this Victor's backyard? Sort of.
Yeah, so, okay, so let's do this.
I'll make you full.
Yeah. This is my backyard.
Okay.
That's my backyard. It's a tiny one. It depends actually how you look at it. It's huge backyard for Europe. And huge for Europe means more than 2 people can fit.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason why I was asking is next week is KubeCon. We've said that a few times.
Yes.
You're going to be doing a lot of things at KubeCon.
Yes.
One of the things that you're not going to be doing is we're not going to be doing a DevOps toolkit next Thursday, for sure.
DevOps toolkit not for sure. Yeah, for sure not. Yeah, that's guaranteed not going to happen.
And next Friday is 99% won't happen. Actually,
Yes.
let's make it 5 nines. We'll get a 5-9 that it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
We'll give it whatever that 1,000th is. Would that be 1,000th? It'd be 1,000th. We'll give it 1,000%
Very
of a
unlikely.
chance. Very, very unlikely. Next Friday.
Let's put it this way. There are 2 very likely outcomes for Friday. Either I will be in some meetings or chatting or something, or I will be recovering from Thursday night.
I'm assuming
In
Thursday
both
night
cases,
is a party.
oh yeah, I kind of everybody has a party, kind of like there are. I think that it will be similar to KubeCons in the past, kind of that. Every bar is sponsored by some company, something like that. I mean, just to begin with, I think that I have 4 or 5 invitations for bar crawl. Apart from, I don't know, I'm not sure whether I pronounce it right. Apart from the
Crawl,
typical invitations, this place.
Yeah. So we're talking about. So
yeah.
let's talk about this right here. So you should do some shorts, like YouTube shorts. You could do that with your phone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bringing the camera. I'm terrible at it.
I know you are, and so am I. But talking specifically about this, the Tuesday after Victor gets back, or Tuesday or Thursday, I can't. But my dates are mixed up right now. We're doing a podcast, and we'll talk all about KubeCon. It will come out, I think, probably out towards the end of June, because we've already got things edited and done and scheduled. So it'll be coming out a little bit afterwards. But we are doing a full podcast about that. We'll talk more about it as well. And we're going to be talking about a couple other things on those, because we're going to record 2 or 3 that day. And one of the others is, are in-person conferences here to stay, or are they dead? That's one thing we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
That is one of them.
Good. Also, I'm thinking, and this is thinking right now, since this Thursday, next Thursday, there will be no AMA.
Yep.
Move it to the Thursday after next, but instead of doing AMA, questions welcome. Actually, we should do some KubeCon recap.
We could do that too. I have to look at my schedule. I think that's right.
Doesn't have to be Thursday. Sometime.
Yeah, sometime. So if people want to see you at KubeCon, does Upbound have a booth there?
Yeah, you can come to Outbound Boot. You can ping me on Twitter, LinkedIn. Find me. Boot somewhere. I mean, I have no idea where I will be, but I will be in many places at the same time. But ping me through any social media or come to the booth, and I'd love to chat. I really, that's. So here's a promise from me. I'm most likely not going to go to a single talk. I'm in KubeCon just to meet people. That's the only reason I will be there. And yes, Sebastian question. We have a party. I mean, there are many parties. One of the parties is organized by us and Giants Forum. I have tickets. Just find me. Through any social media or at the booth, you get tickets.
Hey, do me a favor. I need a thumbnail.
Free drinks.
Free drinks. Do me a favor. I need a thumbnail. Give me your reaction to Docker extensions. Looking at the camera.
Oh, I
look up a little bit.
I don't know. I'm looking at the camera. I don't know whether there's Docker expression.
That's good enough.
You do something with it.
I can lift. Yeah, there's a few frames there I can grab. Okay, so do you have any recommended talks to tune in for KubeCon?
I haven't seen the schedule. Literally, I honestly don't know, and I'm not likely to go to any talks myself. So I'm not going to go to my talk even. So figure that out. The reason, first because it was recorded, because I'm doing a talk with ByteDance company, so people are in China, they couldn't come here for
obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons, exactly. So my talk is recorded. My talk with them. So when I say I'm not going, it sounded weird, because it's remote.
Virtual.
And the reason why I'm not going to talks is because I have to be at the booth, and I want to meet people. That's the only reason. Not because there is anything wrong going to talks. Everybody should go to talks.
Unless you're Victor, and then you don't go to talks.
Then I get the speak. Then I mean there are two options. You can go to a talk. That's option number one, or you can find the speaker of the talk you like and then go for drinks afterwards with him or her. You get the same information, but in a slightly different form.
I'm not going to talk any further. So anyway, nothing next Thursday. There will be a podcast. So let's rewind the whole week. Monday video, yes, on DevOps Toolkit.
Yes.
Wednesday, podcast, DevOps Paradox. Yes. Thursday, no DevOps Toolkit live stream. No AMA this next week. A 0.001 chance, 0.001 chance of this happening next week.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a day off for me next week, like not working.
There you go.
So I might take advantage of that and actually edit some stuff next week and not think about this.
Wait, I have to comment on this. You have no idea how much I'm looking forward to Detroit.
You talking about Daniels? Yeah.
I'm beyond excitement.
Wait, why? Why?
I haven't been there.
You've never been to Detroit?
No.
You need to go watch an old Dan Aykroyd movie called Dr. Detroit.
Doesn't matter. Kind of like I've been everywhere, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. Almost everywhere else. The only place that I would like KubeCon to be more than Detroit, it would be my brain stopped on the East Coast South, very colonial looking town that was flooded.
Savannah?
No, a big one.
That is big.
French colonial voodoo.
On the East Coast? Or are you talking about New Orleans?
New Orleans, yes.
That's okay. That's the Gulf Coast, but yes. Okay.
That's not east?
Mm-mm. It's near Texas.
Is it West Coast?
No, it's on Gulf Coast. So it's right
okay.
It's
But
east,
in my head there are
Texas.
two coasts.
Yeah,
it's left or right. Don't give me now that details.
It's actually in the middle. It's in the middle. New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like, in my head, that stripe down towards Mexico?
Yeah.
It's left or right of that.
Yeah, it's just right of that.
Then it's
just
East
right.
Coast. East Coast.
Not East Coast.
Okay, Gold Coast.
Yeah, so Karen says, yeah, Detroit is where RoboCop is from. You remember RoboCop? You're old enough
Oh
for
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. And wait. What's the name? Alex? Beverly Hills Cop? You haven't seen Beverly Hills Cop.
No, I have. That's with Eddie
Yeah.
Murphy and...
I think he was called Alex. Anyway, Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, yeah,
Detroit.
he was... That's right. He was a Detroit cop that went to... That's right. I forgot about that. That's correct. Dan says, I haven't been to Detroit. Look, I will tell you about the Detroit airport. It's one really long strip. So it's one building, just like long. And that's it. That's it. There's nothing to the Detroit airport.
Airports are just for going in and out.
Well, trust me, in that airport, there isn't anything else to do there except to go to the McDonald's and to go to the sandwich shop because there's nothing else there. The thing that's interesting for me from where I live, Detroit is a 1 hour flight. That's it. Just a 1 hour flight. It's very simple.
Nice.
It's very boring. It's a very boring flight. Okay, so New Orleans is not East Coast yet. Oh yeah, been to the airport. Yes, I never understood why all that traffic goes through Detroit, and it's a small airport. It's very strange.
Maybe it's, but is it kind of just to pass through?
No, not really. It is a destination. Unless you're going into, yeah, it really is. But it's
okay. I didn't want to say it because it would sound mean, but I'm really excited about Detroit because it is the chances I will ever go there on my own dime are 0.0001%, right? Yeah. So kind of like, if you said some other place, I would say, hey, that's cool, but I'm likely to go there for vacations, right? Detroit, no. So either KubeCon makes a conference or I'm never going to see it.
Yeah, like you could fly to Detroit in order to go up into where the Great Lakes are, which is all those lakes that happen around Michigan. Right, that's the reason why you would go to Detroit, is get there, get a car, and drive. But no, you wouldn't go to Detroit. And sorry to any
get cheaper
Michiganders.
Cars. Do you get cheaper cars if you go to Detroit? No.
And there's nothing cheap right now in cars at all. And I will say this, Daniel, this is true. I live near Charlotte, which is the number 2 hub behind DFW for American. And I lived in Atlanta for 11 years. Those are my 2 primary carriers. Those are the 2 carriers that I have about 3.5 million miles on. I don't need to ever get on an airplane again. But I will at some point, just not yet. Okay. We're almost here at the top of the hour. You probably have another meeting to go to before you call it a day.
Have my next session is Pistol Whip.
What?
I got as a present Oculus thingy, and then I have a scheduled session with my daughter. It's something, I don't know, shoot people in virtual reality. It's actually really cool.
Okay. I'll trust you for that. So anyway, we're not here live next week at all. Realistically, definitely not Thursday. Realistically, not Friday. So it'll be 2 weeks before we're back live, but still listen to the podcast. And we'll talk. There'll be KubeCon stuff coming out probably over the next month because we'll keep talking about it. Because do you think this KubeCon here is going to be the bigger KubeCon from an announcements perspective versus NA, or no?
Versus LA, which one?
No, but versus North America. So is Valencia going to have more announcements and more material announcements than Detroit will? With it being so long, right? From doing
I think it really depends on when somebody has something. Yeah, I think that we will hear same, and part of the announcements will be the same. Part of the announcements that are announced in US flow into Europe, just with a slight twist,
right.
And the other way around, right?
Okay.
Because realistically, you cannot change the world twice a year as a company, unless you're AWS.
That's true. All right, everybody. Until we see you again, which will probably be about 2 weeks, have a great few weeks. If you're in the U.S., Nope. We'll be back before the next holiday for the U.S., so we'll talk to you then. If you're going to KubeCon, look up Victor. Please do that. And
I'm less scary in person than on screen, so it's okay.
Don't believe what he's saying. It's
Not
not
true.
true. Not true. Right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.